The Dershow.
Let's turn to January 20th. We see a new president. We see a new cabinet. I'm generally supportive of his picks. I like Mark Rubio. Mark Rubio was there also on Saturday night. I spoke to him and offered my help, particularly on the Middle East, and he said he would accept it. And the Secretary of the Treasury was there, Scott Bessent. I got to talk to him. I really liked him. He seemed like really the nicest guy and very, very, very competent. Um, how it came about, that I saw the president, was a complete accident, really. Um, I was there to speak about the film about John Eastman, about lawfare. And I'm in the film. I have a major role in the film talking about lawfare. And I was there waiting for the event to start. And President Trump obviously found out I was there, and he's told his staff to bring me into his private area. And there he was talking to Scott Bessent, the designee for Secretary of the Treasury. And I sat down with him and we talked about I can't tell you what we talked about in detail, obviously, but we, talked about lawfare and talked about all the things that are going on and talked about other things that I'm interested in and things he's interested in. And then I spoke at the event, and he wanted to know what time I was speaking. And I told him 7:00, and he came in at 7:00 just as I was speaking, and he stayed for my speech and stood up the whole time in the back, just like an audience member, and cheered when I finished speaking. And then we watched the movie. He came with the Prime Minister of Italy, and the two of them came in and sat there and watched the film. It's interesting because my wife had an interesting reaction. We were sitting, right near them when they were watching the film. And, Trump has a reputation for being a little bit of a flibbity-gibbet, that he can't pay attention. He's always distracted. He can't wait for the event to be over. He did ask me how long my speech would take, because he wanted to stay only for my speech. He said, "How long will your speech take?" And I joked and I said, "Well, I'm going to go over all of Marchand's errors, each of them, so it'll be 3 or 4 hours." And then he laughed and I laughed. And I said, "No, it'll be 10 minutes." So he came and he stayed for the speech. But during the movie, which was a riveting movie, my wife watched him. I was watching the movie. My wife watched him, and she said he never took his eyes off the screen. He was obviously riveted by the movie, and he listened very carefully to the interviews that they had with me and with another Harvard professor and with John Eastman, who was the subject of the film. But he clearly paid very, very close attention to the film. And as I said, in the film, I said John Eastman shouldn't be prosecuted for having a different view of the election. Eastman honestly believed the election was stolen. I did not. I thought the election fairly went to Joe Biden. I did think that the Pennsylvania vote was unconstitutional, but even if the Pennsylvania vote was discounted, in my view, there wasn't enough to turn the election over to Donald Trump. Reasonable people could disagree or agree with that. That's what I said. He came over to me afterward and said, no, I'm wrong. So, all right. I said, I knew what you would say. And, we have some disagreements. So he sat during the film and watched it very, very, very carefully and got up and spoke. And it was a very, very nice event, a nice evening.